Fall hazards and controls. When performing work at elevated working heights, there are certain hazards that must be taken into consideration. Lack of proper or inappropriate anchorage points. When anchorage points are not clearly identified, it may cause a worker to tie off to objects not specifically designed for fall arrest. Anchorage points located overhead that allow a worker sufficient room to travel via a self-retracting lanyard can lead to a pendulum swing in a fall. A falling worker will then, in addition to moving downward, also move sideways into an immovable object such as a piece of machinery. The greater the angle away from vertical, the greater the speed with which the person will contact an object and the more serious the consequences. Lack of pre-planning. When overhead work takes place, a qualified person should be able to recognize all the hazards based on the work prior to the work starting and implement the appropriate controls. Bottoming out. This can occur when there is a failure to account for the total extension of the shock-absorbing lanyard, harness and D-ring slide, and the distance of the height of the worker, all of which can result in a falling worker making contact with an object or lower level. Insufficient rescue planning. If a worker is involved in a fall and there has been no pre-planning to determine how a worker will be rescued, simply hanging in a harness for a 20 to 30-minute period can lead to a condition known as suspension trauma. This may occur when the body has arrested after a fall, causing circulatory problems, mainly blood pooling in the legs, which can lead to a possible loss of consciousness. Controlling fall hazards. In fall arrest, all hazards have to be considered critical because of the nature of the consequences. Essentially, if something goes wrong, someone could die. Therefore, we will not spend time assessing the seriousness of our identified hazards, but rather move directly to addressing how we can control them. Most, if not all of the hazards in the previous module can be controlled through proper identification of the anchorage point and proper pre-planning of the job. When work is performed at elevated heights, failure to plan the job properly can result in serious injury or worse. Control